Hey everyone, this is JD, and this July is actually the 40th anniversary of, can you name it? Yep, Back to the Future. Like I do with some of my childhood favorite movies, I'm going to show off some of my collectibles and my prize collection. So make sure you stay tuned. At the very end of this video, I'm going to be showing you guys one of my most prized Back to the Future collectibles. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at a Back to the Future collection.
Starting transmission.
I've been a big fan of Back to the Future since I when actually. It's actually kind of surprising. I think I saw Back to the Future 2 first, and that was the movie that actually created the whole framework. It was maybe a few years later. I saw Back to the Future 1. And you know what, though? It was one of those movies, the plot, the storyline, everything is so mesmerizing. And I don't know, it's actually inspired me a lot. If I had to pick one of my top three favorite movies, definitely Back to the Future is number two. My number one is Ghostbusters, and it always will be. Yeah, so this holds a special place in my heart. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take a deep dive into my Back to the Future collection. So we're gonna play a little bit of game here. We're gonna just kind of fill out like what could I want to talk about pretty much in here. So first up, we're going to actually break down my Back to the Future Hot Wheels collection. I have my Back to the Future Hot Wheels collection, and actually, one of them is not really Hot Wheels, and that's the Nano Hollywood cars from Jada. And this actually has all three of the Back to the Future cars. This reminds me of much of Micro Machines, and I wish I had a Micro Machines with me. I think I do have a DeLorean Micro Machine somewhere. I don't know. I probably lost it years ago. My wife gave me this one as a Christmas gift years ago. I love this one. It stands up next to my movie poster from Back to the Future that I have on my wall. But yeah, this is a really cool set to have. In addition, I also have Biff's car right here covered in poop. Yep. This is the scene where Biff's car runs into the back truck with manure and it has the manure on it. This is a fun scene. This is a really funny car too because you would never think that Hot Wheels would make a car that actually has manure on it, would you? No. But no, I love this little figure here. This is a really nice one to have. I do have here is a Hot Wheels Racerverse. So this is the DeLorean with Marty McFly in the suit. There's two different versions of this one. There's him in the radiation suit and one with him without it. But no, I like having him in the radiation suit that he travels in when he travels to the past. Now, this is a really cool one. This is really hard to find. So if you do ever find these on the shelves, you might want to pick one of these up because the resale value on this is crazy high too. So no, I do like this one. This is one of my favorite ones here, but it is not the oldest of my collection. These are pretty new here. Now, this here is in the plutonium box. I actually got this in 2011 at San Diego. I remember going and standing in line at San Diego Comic Con to try to pick this up. It was this one, and there was also a Wonder Woman plane that I also wanted. There was actually like nothing in the box, but just the outside the box because invisible. But no, I wasn't able to get that one, but I was able to pick this up. And this has been part of my collection for years. I guess now is the best time on any. So go ahead and open it up. All right. So here you go. Oh, there it is. So in this case, I have the Back to the Future DeLorean. This was a San Diego Comic Con 2011 exclusive at the Mattel booth. And this is amazing. I love it. I love the detail on this one. I like having the backdrop and nice little acrylic case to it. Oh man, I love this is one of my favorite things. I know the new one that's coming out this year for the 40th anniversary. And when we're going to San Diego Comic Con, I'm gonna try to pick that one up too. But no, I remember picking this up back in 2011. I carried this around forever. My wife remembers this actually being one of the few pieces I had out on display in my apartment when we first started dating. So, without further ado, that is my Hot Wheels collection. I do want to try to pick up some of the other Hot Wheels. I'll get to that eventually. But for now, this is a very small collection. Let me know if you've ever collected any Back to the Future Hot Wheels. Do you collect the DeLorean? Do you collect fun cars like this one? Or have you ever picked up any of the San Diego Comic Con exclusive of the Hot Wheels? Let me know in the comments down below. I would like to hear your stories. All right, Without further ado, let's go ahead and look at the next collectible. All right, let's take a look and we'll see what else we have here on the table. We can talk about, oh, you know what? Perfect one. Perfect example here. Let's go ahead and talk about Super 7 reaction figures. Here they are. Here is my complete set of the reaction figures from Super 7 and Funko. So these are the Back to the Future original 4 figures that came out when Funko and Super 7 were doing the collabs together, originally with reaction figures. So kind of like I did with Jaws, these are based off the Kenner action figures. And we have here with Doc Brown, George McFly, we have Biff, and then we also have Marty McFly. And you don't really see this collection anymore. So if Super 7 has created some more of these, but you don't get to see the original ones, the ones they did with Funko back in the day. I like these. I love the cards. I like the display on these. You know what? If you ever get a chance to get your hands on these, I recommend you do, because this is a nice little addition to have if you have Back to the Future collection. All right, so got some. We're going through some of these collectibles. It's taking a little while, but we're gonna get there. All right, so my next big collection is my Lego collection from Back to the Future, and you know what? So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at my Lego collection that's related to Back to the Future. All right, guys, we're taking a look at my next little collection here with the Legos. This is pretty cool. I actually was able to get my hands on when these first came out. So these were part of the Cuso, which is now, I believe, Lego Ideas, when they had the DeLorean. So at the time, this was the only Back to the Future DeLorean you could actually get. I do have it right here built. So this is actually based off the first movie. Yeah, check that out. That is really cool. It does open. I had the wheels defold in, so if I wanted to make it like the second movie, I could. Yeah. For the sake of this, we're talking about the anniversary of the first movie. Yeah, so this is really cool. I love this. These were the very first 2 minifigs from Back to the Future. You have Marty and you have Doc Brown. Yeah. This is a nice little cool little set. In addition to this, so once this set came out, it wasn't very much longer. We got a couple more sets. So we did get the briquettes of Marty and Doc. This is still a sealed box. I thought I had built these, but I guess I hadn't. And you also, when Lego Dimensions came out, they also had their own Back to the Future collection. So here are the 2 sets from Back to the Future. You have the set here with Marty, and it came with a mini DeLorean and a hoverboard. Only way I believe you can get a hoverboard for Lego in the set. And you also have Doc Brown with the train from Back to the Future 3. And these you could use in an actual Lego Dimensions game. You can actually play as these characters and unlock their vehicles or their weapons. Yeah, this is a fun little collab that they did. Yeah, it's pretty much my whole Back to the Future collection right here. I've never been able to get the actual full size DeLorean. That's one of my next ones to get is the actual Lego DeLorean. That's like yay big. So I'm gonna be adding that to my collection one of these days. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think of the Lego collection I have here? Do you collect any Back to the Future Legos? Do you have any of these sets? Did you ever pick up the original set of the DeLorean from back in the day? It is a hard to find set, so hope you guys did. Yeah, that is my Lego collection. You know what? I'm pretty proud of this collection. This is one of my favorite ones to get to. So, without further ado, let's get back to my other collectibles. All right, so we got through those. You know what? Here's something that's really cool. This is from Diamond Select Toys. It is the DeLorean. And you know what? Let's go ahead and take a look at this figure a little bit closer and kind of talk a little bit more about this. DeLorean. This is actually the DeLorean from part 2, of course. This is the one from the first movie. But no, this is a really cool thing. It's from Diamond Select Toys. And I actually got this as a gift from my wife for Christmas. So it was our second year dating. And we were doing kind of like a 12 days of Christmas, We kind of gave each other little gifts leading up to Christmas. Could be our bigger gift. And this was her gift to me. She knew I liked Back to the Future. She knew I had a small collection of Back to the Future back then. So yeah, this is one of my favorite little gifts she gave me. And this is so cool. You see this in the background of pretty much all my videos. So this is really cool. Doors open. It does light up and make sounds. Fortunately, the batteries have died over the years. And I've never gone in there to replace them. But yeah, This is really cool. And you know what though? Not many of them actually have the wheels moving. And the tires also flip down. Get that to work. There you go. Down for part two. Go in hover mode. Yeah, this is really cool. Mr. Coffee. This is a really cool set. They did make all the three cars from the movie. So there is a car from the first movie and a car from the third movie too. And I wish I would have gotten all set. That'd be quite cool to have all three of the DeLoreans. You know what though? Part two is my favorite. And the first one I remember seeing on TV. And it's the one that actually got me to love Back to the Future. So I'm very happy to have the second car in my collection. So what do you guys think? Did you ever collect one of these? Did you ever have one of the Dime Select cars? You still have it in part of your collection. Let me know in the comments down below. And let's get on to probably my biggest collection. All right, you're probably seeing some other stuff up here on the table that you're probably curious about. You know what? Without further ado, let's talk about these figures. These are vinyl idols. So let's go ahead and deep dive into the vinyl idols. And with that, we were talking here a little while ago about vinyl idols. I don't know if you're aware of what vinyl idols were. So vinyl idols was an actual toy line that was part of Funko back in the day. And if you notice, they kind of have a resemblance to like the Wallace and Gromit cartoons. That's kind of why I like these. They had a variety of different figures from Batman, Seinfeld. I think they had dodgeball ones, and they had Ghostbuster one. I do have the whole set of the Ghostbuster one. But yeah, these are the only two Back to the Future ones that came out. You know what though? What a better collection. You have Marty and you have Doc. So these are super detailed. They have that little goofy face and everything on there. No, I like these. They're really neat, fun. You probably have seen these in the background of my videos. I'm glad that I was able to collect these two. Like I said, these are really like big parts of my own personal collection. What do you guys think? Have you ever collected vinyl idols? Did you collect any of them at all? I know they're very short wave. They lasted just for a few years through Funko, but you know what? I do like these, and I wish they would bring some more of these back. And these look really cool, if you ask me. So let me know in the comments below. Did you ever collect any of these? Do you remember what vinyl idols were? And do you have a whole set of all the different varieties? Let me know in the comment section down below. And let's get back to the rest of my collection. We've covered a lot that's on this table. But you know what? I also have some other stuff on that's not on this table that we might want to take a look at. This is something actually that's very important to me. It's actually a drawing I did all the way back in, I think, my sophomore year of high school. So without further ado, let me grab that for us. So like I said, I had one thing I actually drew back in art class, back when I was I think freshman or sophomore in high school. And it was a portrait of Marty McFly himself, Michael J. Fox. And not many people have seen this drawing, so bear with me. It's been what now, 20-some plus years since I drew this, but here it is. Here is my portrait of Michael J. Fox. I'll let you take that in. Yeah. Hopefully I didn't jack it up too much. I'll do close up so you can see better photo of it. But yeah. A really cool piece. It's actually, I think it's my final project for art class. Yeah, this took forever to draw. I mean, I ever working on it late at night to bring it home for like weeks on end. So I could work on it. My only complaint, being an artist myself, snows. I don't know what I did there. Really don't. But yeah, I drew that back my freshman year in high school. It's crazy to think about because I was probably 15 when I drew this. So that was almost 25 years ago. It's just crazy. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I love this piece of artwork. Hope you guys enjoy it too. All right, let's get back to my collection. All right, so we gotta check the loud one out. You know what? Also, I have here too is something that you probably have never seen, and it is an animation cell from the Back to the Future cartoon. So I do have a really cool story with this. So let me go ahead and grab that, and I'm going to showcase you guys my actual animation cell from the Back to the Future cartoon. Like I said, next piece of art that I have that's related to Back to the Future comes from the animated Back to the Future cartoon. I think it was on CBS back in the day, and that is this right. It is an animation cell of the Delorean from the cartoon. This is one of my favorite things from 1991. Original production art right there. This is cool. I love this piece here. This actually hangs on the wall in the background. So this is one of my favorite pieces of art. And the story behind this is crazy to think about. I'll paint the picture for you. So I was at San Diego Comic Con and they were selling some of the original artworks. And you've probably been, if you've been to San Diego Comic Con, you know there's some booths out there that have some of the original art, original animation cells. And the guy was trying to get rid of this one. And he was auctioning it off to anybody that wanted it. And I let you know, this was probably maybe 2010, 2011 ish, around that time. And one guy said, he goes, I'll give you $5 for it. And the guy goes, I don't know, I can't really take $5. We do a little higher. And I was just walking up and I heard this and I saw it. I was like, I kind of want that. Yeah, so the guy's like $5. And somebody can do any better than that. And I'm walking up there and I'm just kind of being goofy. And I was like, I do want that. And I'm thinking, it's probably about like $20, $30 at most. The guy already started the bid at $5, basically. So I was like, I'll do it for $6. And then he goes, I'll do it for $7. I'm like, I'll do it for $15. And I goes, deal, sold. And bada bing, bada boom. It is now part of my collection. And I was super proud of this. Like, yeah, my first auction bid. You know what? I don't know how much this goes for anymore. But this is not something I'm going to get rid of. It is staying part of my collection. The background does come off. So you have the actual animation cell. You have a painted background too. This is cool. This is probably one of my favorite things. My favorite art pieces I have in my house that I guess next to my Ghostbuster one. I do have a animation stuff for Ghostbusters, but this one is colored and it's framed. Okay, let's go ahead and take a more look at more of my collection. All right, so we covered quite a bit here on this table, but we still have a couple more things to go through. So without further ado, let's take a look at this little collab I have right here. You noticed it's not a typical Back to the Future collectible. No, this is the 2020 Transformer Delorean collab. This is really cool. And you know what? Without further ado, let's talk a little bit more about this figure. And next up, we have Gigawatt. Gigawatt was actually a collab with Transformers and Back to the Future. There's also a comic book tie-in that actually goes with this. If you've never seen that comic book series, I recommend you read that one because it's actually a nice, fun read. Yeah, so this right here, basic Transformers, the DeLorean. And if you didn't know these existed for the 35th anniversary of Back to the Future, you might want to try to get your hands on these. It's been 5 years since these came out. They are kind of hard to find. They have gone up in value a little bit, but hey, look at this. This is pretty cool looking. The robot I transformed into also is pretty cool. And they're kind of like nice little fun collab that I have part of my collection and tied into the actual Transformers Back to the Future crossover series. Yeah, what do you guys think? Did you ever pick one of these up? Let me know in the comments down below. And probably my next biggest collectible collection here that we're going to discuss here is pretty much my Funko Pop collection. So you know what? I gotta get rid of all this here because if you kind of see behind me, it's a pretty big collection. So check that out. And with that, we have right here my Funko Pop collection from Back to the Future. And if you notice, I have quite a bit. I almost have the whole collection. So this is not the whole Back to the Future collection, but I have a majority of them. So I'm gonna start out pretty much. I have all my Marty McFlys here. Right here, you can tell I have some of my Marty McFlys. I got some of the newer ones too, like Einstein down there. Some you don't really ever see. Down here, I have some of my open ones. I tried to open one from every of this part of the series. So I have the 1955s, the 1985s, the 2015 ones. And now that I have the Western ones to go with it, I'm going to have those open up and here on display too. But pretty much it. So these right here are my most valuable ones here, my Back to the Future collection. The first of the four right here are the NFTs. So these are Back to the Future NFTs. I was able to collect 4 out of the 5. I never got the Grail. Kind of bummed I didn't get the Grail. One of these days, I'm going to add that Grail to my collection. But for now, I'm very happy with these 4 that I got. They're probably one of the close ones here in the set. These were pretty hard to get. When this NFT set came out, I knew this is the one I wanted to complete. And I spent a lot of money trying to get that Grail, which I never did. But I am very happy with these 4 that I did get. Next up, we have down here too. We got a couple of more of my Grails. This was pretty cool. This is the Marty McFly and the Hoverboard. You were only able to get this from fun.com. And was it a pain to get this one when this originally came out because fun.com is like a costume shop. I don't know why they had Funko Pops, but they did. They had Funko Pops. And this is the only way you can get this figure. And had my credit card, like, say it was being scammed. I had called the bank. Oh my God. It was a pain in the butt to get this one. But I'm glad I finally did because this is actually one of my favorite ones here. Because, like I said, Back to the Future 2 is one of my favorite movies. All right. My next two right here are kind of my grails, my semi grails. So these two right here, the Marty McFly from the Canadian convention one, and Marty McFly, look at his watch. So these are the shared exclusives for these. This was SDCC. This was the Toronto Fan Expo, I think it was. That's what it was. But yeah, so these were pretty hard to get. I remember going to like several different Walmarts just to find these two. Yeah, so here are my grails. So right here, here's the ones that are worth the most. First up I have here is the Marty McFly. This is the Fall Convention 2019 exclusive with him in the actual suit. And this is the only way to get Marty McFly in the suit. I wish we had Doc Brown in the suit, but we kind of do. You know, he kind of has that suit on in this picture. But yeah, this is really cool to have. All right. But yes, but here is my grail. This is probably my most expensive Funko Pop. And I got this at Phoenix Comic Con way back. I didn't pay $25 for it originally. Um, I had just started collecting Funko Pops at the time. So I would say about, what was this one? 2012, I think it was. 2014. So yeah, so 2015. I think I got this one. So I didn't start collecting Funko Pops until about 2015-ish. And this was one of my very first ones. I picked it up for like $32. And it's probably the most expensive one. I'll put a screenshot right here. Shows you how much it goes for nowadays. But no. This is my most valuable Funko Pop in my collection. You know, it is staying with me for as long as I need it to. But yeah, I love this one. This is a really cool one to get. And what I have right here is Delorean with Marty McFly. The one, the original Pop Rides, number 2 in the Pop Rides collection. Yeah, this is a really cool one. This is actually when they actually had the Pop figures be removed from the rides. Now they're part of the rides now. Kind of sucks. But yeah. So this is actually part of a set of my very first Funko Pops I ever bought. It was this DeLorean. It was this Doc Brown and the 4 original Ghostbusters. I believe the Ecto One also, but that's the only way you could get Winston, and it was in the actual Ecto One. And these are my original Funko Pops I ever collected. The ones that started my Funko Pop collection all stem back from this one, and the actual original 4. But yeah, I do really enjoy these. So, you guys collect any of the Back to the Future Funko Pops? Which one was your favorite of all the ones I talked about and I showed off? Let me know in the comments down below. And without further ado, let's get ahead and get to the next collectible on my list. We've gone through everything I have up here for that's related to Back to the Future. But there's one thing on here you probably noticed that I have not talked about yet. You know what? That is my pride and joy. That is the collectible I will cherish forever. And that's all related to the hoverboard. So without further ado, let's take a look at my hoverboard collection. Here's my hoverboard collection. Yeah, I know. You see, this is my pride and joy. My favorite collectibles of the whole series, the hoverboard. But you only see 2 little things here. Right? I got a really cool hoverboard thing. I got this from a little Loot Crate box or one of those boxes. It came in a little hoverboard box. Oh yeah, it was Loot Crate. I thought so. But yeah, it was really cool. I also got this little hoverboard that comes with the Nike Air Mags. I love this one too. Really neat looking. Little hovers right there. Right there. Yeah. These are 2 of my favorite little hoverboard sets. All right. And then I also got, this is my most recent hoverboard. It's actually from the Hot Wheels Skate series that Tony Hawk created with Hot Wheels. And it's get a hoverboard right here with skateboard wheel, of course. and the Nike shoes right there too that go with it. I actually like this a lot. But yeah, this is a really cool one. This is really hard to find. If you do ever find this one out in the wild, I recommend you pick these up because these do sell for really high in the resale market too. But yeah, I think that's pretty much my hoverboard clip. No, no, it's not. No, I got things way cooler than all this. All right, guys. So, that's behind me. And yeah, I tell you, I've got to preface this. There's a funny story behind this. So, back in the day, I used to buy a lot of collectibles from Matty Collector. And Matty Collector is now what Mattel Creations is. And so, Matty Collector was where you got all your high end collectibles from Mattel. And I got a lot of my Ghostbuster stuff from there. Actually, a lot of my Ghostbuster stuff in here and up there too are from Matty Collector. And they only had one Back to the Future item that was part of Matty Collector. And you kind of see it behind me right now. And that is my hoverboard. And trust me, I'm going to show this off to you right now. This is how it came. So imagine this. My wife, it was my girlfriend at the time. I was bringing home a package. I came home with this thing. It was wrapped up, of course, in a white box. But when I opened it, she goes, "What did you buy?" Because look at it. It looks like a girl's toy. You know, it has the hoverboard on there. You know, looks very Barbie-esque. You know, Mattel, associated Mattel usually with Barbies. So yeah, you'd think this is a girl's toy, you know? And my wife thought that at the same time. And I actually like the design of this box. This box design is really cool. It makes it look very authentic, makes it look like actually part of it was something you would see in Back to the Future, or you would see on the toy shelves. Now I'm gonna show what was inside this box. And here it is. It is a hoverboard. And it's actually designed, I remember reading about it. Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis did have some say in the design of this of the hoverboard to make sure it matched up to what it actually looked like in the movie and everything. Yeah, this is really cool. It does have batteries for sound effects and stuff like that, but they're not in here right now. Yeah, isn't that really cool? And if you notice, there's something really special in this. And this is why this is my pride and joy collectible. You know, when I say that, I mean, there are things that mean the most to me, and this is one of those items. Because at Phoenix Fan Fusion a few years ago, Christopher Lloyd came to Phoenix Fan Fusion. I remember walking around with this. I took this with me in the convention. I walked around for hours waiting for his table to get signed. I remember standing in line for 3.5, 4 hours at the Phoenix Fan Fusion. I wish I had a more memorable story like I did with some of my other collectibles that get signed. You know, he was kind of just being rushed, and everybody was like, sign, sign, pay, try him on the board. He signed it, moved on. Nothing personalized. I wish I would have got it personalized. But he was the very first of the people I ever got to sign this board. And I hope that one day I will get some more actors from Back to the Future to sign the board because that mean a lot to me. I want to get the actor who played Biff. I want to get Michael J. Fox. I want to get the girl who played Lorraine. So one of these days I will get the rest of the set on here. But just having Christopher Lloyd on here is so meaningful to me. You know, he's a classic actor. He's been around forever. One of the great comedic actors too, like of all time. I always say. No, I like this a lot. This is why you collect. You know, to have those moments, those memories, and to have these kind of prized possessions in your collection. You know, if I had to sell all my Back to the Future tomorrow, I probably would sell everything but this. This would be with me forever. But yeah, this is great. I love this. That is my hoverboard collection. What do you guys think? Do you have any autographs from any of the original Back to the Future cast members? Do you have a hoverboard from Mattel? Let me know in the comment section down below. That pretty much wraps it up. Let's get back. Thank you guys for joining me here on the Funko Pop Collector channel. And thank you for taking a look at some of my collectibles for Back to the Future. That's only the 40th anniversary ones. Make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe. Until next time, remember, this is JD, the Funko Pop Collector channel.
That concludes a Figgy Pop transmission.